Namaskar and welcome to this Wednesday edition of Market Mantra, the program in which we give you a complete update on the economic, business and stock market news of the day. Well, I'm Lalima Aneja Dang and with me is my co-anchor in Hindi, Vishal Sharma.
धन्यवाद लालिमा और नमस्कार हमारे सभी श्रोताओं को मार्केट मंत्र में आपका स्वागत है। प्रतिदिन की तरह हम आर्थिक, व्यापारिक और शेयर बाजार से जुड़ी ताजा खबरों को लेकर हाजिर हैं। खबरों पर चर्चा के लिए कार्यक्रम में आज ऑनलाइन आमंत्रित हैं आर्थिक विश्लेषक जयंता दास। जयंता नमस्कार, मार्केट मंत्र में आपका स्वागत।
शुक्रिया।
सबसे पहले हेडलाइंस के साथ है लालिमा।
Thank you, Vishal. Yes, the headlines first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi invites investment in India, delivering keynote address at Viva Tech conference, says India offers what innovators and investors need. Domestic stocks take a breather, witnessing modest losses amid weak global cues. Sensex closes at 52,502, Nifty settles at 15,768. And Brent crude prices rise to trade above $74 per barrel mark.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने विश्व को भारत में निवेश के लिए आमंत्रित किया। वीवाटेक सम्मेलन में मुख्य भाषण देते हुए कहा कि भारत में वो सब कुछ है जिसकी स्टार्टअप और निवेशकों को जरूरत है। कमजोर वैश्विक संकेतों के बीच घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में हल्की गिरावट। सेंसेक्स 52,502 पर हुआ बंद, निफ्टी 15,768 पर और ब्रेंट कच्चे तेल के दाम $74 प्रति बैरल के पार। शुरुआत विवाटेक सम्मेलन में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के मुख्य भाषण की। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने आज कहा कि भारत महामारी के बीच भी अनुकूल और लचीला बना हुआ है। उन्होंने कहा कि भारत ने इस अवधि के दौरान खनन, अंतरिक्ष, बैंकिंग, परमाणु ऊर्जा और अन्य क्षेत्रों में बड़े सुधार लागू किए हैं। आज दोपहर विवाटेक में मुख्य भाषण में प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा कि भारत में वो सब कुछ है जिसकी स्टार्टअप और निवेशकों को जरूरत है। उन्होंने विश्व को प्रतिभा, बाजार, पूंजी, पारिस्थितिकी और उदारता की संस्कृति के 5 स्तंभों के आधार पर भारत में निवेश के लिए आमंत्रित किया। प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा कि भारत विश्व के सबसे बड़े स्टार्टअप क्षेत्र के रूप में उभर कर आया है। उन्होंने कहा कि हाल के अनेक वर्षों में अनेक स्टार्टअप सामने आए हैं। श्री मोदी ने कहा कि जहां पारंपरिक उद्यम नाकाम होते हैं वहां नवाचार से मदद मिलती है। उन्होंने कहा कि कोविड महामारी ने अनेक पारंपरिक विधियों को परखने का अवसर दिया और नवाचार ने ही इस स्थिति से बाहर निकाला। उन्होंने कहा कि डिजिटल मीडिया से लोगों को संकट से निपटने, जुड़ने, आराम और छोटी जगह से भी काम करने में मदद मिली है।
The Prime Minister said indigenous IT technologies helped our fight against COVID-19. While Arogya Setu enabled effective contact tracing, CoWIN platform helped ensure COVID vaccines to millions. He said 2 vaccines are being made in India and more are in the development or trial stage. Mr. Modi added that Aadhaar helped provide timely support to people during pandemic and free ration and cooking fuel was delivered to people. He said in 2 public digital education programs, Swayam and Diksha were operationalized in quick time to help students. Mr. Modi said disruption was witnessed over the past year, but disruption does not have to mean despair. He said the focus should instead be on the twin foundations of repair and prepare. Prime Minister stressed the need for insulating planet against the next pandemic. He said focus on sustainable lifestyles must be ensured that stop ecological degradation. He called upon the startup community to take the lead in working with collective spirit and a human-centric approach to overcome this challenge. The Prime Minister said that India and France have been working closely on a wide range of subjects. Among these, technology and digital are emerging areas of cooperation. He said it is the need of the hour that such cooperation continues to grow further. Welcome, Jayanta, to the show. And yes, talking about the Prime Minister's address, Viva Tech is probably the largest conference on startups happening in Europe this time. What is your take on this? The fact that we are among the world's largest startup ecosystems we have. Probably we were third largest startup we had till a few months ago. I don't know if that ranking is still there. What is your take on this?
Thanks, Lavina. Two things. One is this specific startup conference, which is happening in Europe, has an important relevance, I believe, in terms of a dateline. And the important thing is the whole world is recovering from, a really bad pandemic, and obviously we still don't know how near the end is or how distant the end is. But nevertheless, the recovery is happening in waves, and that's a good signal everywhere to start with. And the world is also getting ready for a third wave, specifically India. Now, coming back to the startup thing, what's important to understand is, over the last 16 to 18 months, ever since, if you take around as March, the time in which the pandemic broke across the world, although COVID broke around December 2019 approximately,
right.
The startup ecosystem, not only in India, the world over, created a lot of ways in which the companies were working. And we have also been shown the mirror in terms of how companies can work. Despite challenges or routing through challenges or even overcoming challenges through new solutions. What's important to understand is when we speak of startups, it also goes on with the fact that startups are associated with two things. One is innovation, and the second thing is a disruption model. Now, disruption is fine for techies and financial wizards to discuss among themselves. It's a highly strongly used jargon. When we speak of startups, we immediately link the word disruption with it. But in a sense, what we need to understand is basically disruption is a modern day innovation which helps to live our lives better, which helps to redefine things what we are doing. For an example, I'll tell you, Google, for example, have saved around $1 billion plus by making people work from home, by making its employees work from home. Now, that could be a new way of doing business in the future. And maybe Google doesn't open most of its offices. I won't be knowing, as a strategy, what they will be doing. But my basic intention of saying so is technology to a great extent has helped us overcome this particular challenge in COVID. Of course, the deaths and things like that, there were issues in almost every nation faced, and we also faced all those stuff and all. But to a great extent, the world was held together through technology. There's no denying the fact. Now, India as a nation has demonstrated beyond reason a huge capability in terms of how startups happen. Now, Lalima, if I take the clock back around 3 decades, the discussion on those lines at that time was how to stop the brain drain, right?
Yes.
The issue of brain drain was a big thing.
Yes.
Now, if you bring the clock back to its present day, the question is, we have innovative brains flowering, blossoming, mushrooming almost at every single corner in India. How do we engage this particular brain, give them an ecosystem that helps them thrive? Students who are passing out of school, for example, in class 12 level, they also have a sense of entrepreneurship model to do something innovative.
Yes.
And I think that's what innovative startup nation, which is constantly thinking, does. Take the case of Israel. Israel has got a population of around 1 crore, a little less than 1 crore, and they have the top 20 startups, most value startups there, operating from there. So that's what a nation can do, that's what a nation can achieve if there is a focus. Fortunately, India over the last, few years have renewed its focus in terms of policy, in terms of support for the startup economy, for the startup ecosystem, and it has produced fantabulous results. A lot of people don't know. For example, Byju's is a brand, which is an EdTech startup. It's one of the most valued EdTech company in the world. It's around $19 billion as of today. And in the EdTech sector, for example, if we give a brief example, from 2010 to 2019, for 10 years, the investment flow in the EdTech sector has been $1.7 billion. And from 2019 to 2020, the next year, the investment has been $2 billion.
Wow.
So you can imagine how the jump has taken place. What we did in last 10 years, we overcame and overshot the target in one single year last year. And the story has not ended there. Most of the investors and most of the market trackers believe that in particular in this sector, for the next 3 years, we are going to have investments worth $25 billion. So that's how the ecosystem helps in creating, in aspiring, as well as in developing a nation of young minds to work towards various innovative, disruptive models that finally, somewhere or the other, creates the notion of delivery, they create the notion of services. And I completely agree when the Prime Minister has said to use these strengths of ours and then bring them further. I mean, there is no doubt world over that India as a startup economy is doing extremely well. Obviously, we have fallen behind in terms of a manufacturing economy, way behind China. And you have seen how manufacturing has taken China leaps and bounds globally in terms of a strong economic nation. I believe India's case would be, to a great extent, depending in the next 5 to 10 years on how the startup industry grows, develops from here.
Yes, and the Prime Minister rightly said that disruption doesn't mean despair. And in fact, the government kind of prepared and created an ecosystem for startups by having the Atal Tinkering Labs much long before this happened. This problem happened, which created room for more opportunity in diversity, I would say.
Absolutely agree. And Lalima, personally, as you would be knowing, I'm involved with at least 4 startups right now as we speak. And let me tell you, what I'm extremely happy about is not how those 4 startups are growing and developing, but what I'm extremely happy about is every single day, my average age interaction with people has drastically fallen, and very happy about it. From, say, typically mid-35 to late 20s, 27, 28, 29. So these are the ages I'm meeting up with most of the time for most of my solutions. So and I'm extremely happy, and that's how the ecosystem develops. That's how ecosystem is constantly pumping new minds. And ask everyone, if you ask any of them, why have you joined this? Why have you not taken up a, much more safer option of a job or something of that sort? They all are very, very hopeful in terms of creating and doing something for themselves which they believe can add value to the society, to the community, and to the nation at large. And I think this fast-changing, approach to life, to how you work, and how we communicate with the society in terms of a responsible citizen in bringing about startup ecosystem change to the whole nation. As I said, we go in by leaps and bounds in terms of what we look forward to in the next 5 years.
जी जयंता, जैसा आपने कहा कि आप भी 4 स्टार्टअप्स के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं और स्टार्टअप्स को लेकर के पिछले कुछ सालों से सरकार के स्तर पर काफी प्रयास भी किए जा रहे हैं कि बड़ी संख्या में स्टार्टअप्स आगे आएं, लेकिन आपको क्या लगता है कि क्या पूरी तरीके से बड़ी संख्या में स्टार्टअप्स आगे आएं, अनुकूल माहौल हम अभी तक तैयार कर पा रहे हैं जिससे कि और अधिक बढ़ावा मिले?
देखिए, बहुत जरूरी है इस वक्त नीतिगत रूप में स्टार्टअप्स को जिस तरह का छूट मिले हुए है उससे काफी ज्यादा उम्मीद करते हैं स्टार्टअप्स में, क्योंकि एक तरफ हमें ये सोचना है कि स्टार्टअप्स के इकोसिस्टम एज अ एटीट्यूड, एज अ अप्रोच, जैसे भी आप उसको क्रिएट करें, फाइनली उस स्टार्टअप्स को कहीं ना कहीं जाके इंडियन नीति सिस्टम, इंडियन इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम के साथ जाके भिड़ना पड़ता है, चाहे वो लाइसेंस की तरफ जाए या चाहे वो कहीं ना कहीं कुछ ना कुछ लेन देन करने का कोशिश करे, जहां वो फाइनली जो सिस्टम में जाके भिड़ते हैं उसमें बहुत बड़ा चुनौती आता है। तो मैं मानता हूं कि एक जमाने में जब भारत में आपको पता है कि स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन क्रिएट करके फैक्ट्रीज वहां पे भेजा गया था और वो सारे लेबर लॉज से फ्री रखे थे, और ये सब स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन हमें भी पता है करीबन 80 से 90% स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन अब 20 साल बाद काफी हद तक एक बड़ा हब बना हुआ है इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को ओवरऑल सपोर्ट करने के लिए। और सिर्फ हब नहीं, कोविड के टाइम में भी हमने देखा है कि स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन से काफी अच्छा हद तक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हुआ है, कुछ क्षेत्र में काफी हद तक एक्सपोर्ट्स हुआ है, बिकॉज एक्सपोर्ट्स में कहीं ना कहीं उतना तरह से मोटा तौर से कोई रोक टोक नहीं आया। अगर स्टार्टअप्स का अगर मैं बात करें तो मैं मानता हूँ सरकार द्वारा नीतिगत रूप से सहायता का बहुत सारे जरूरत है इन लोग को, और खास करके हमें ये देखना है, जरूरी नहीं कि आप पैसा दें, लेकिन फास्ट ट्रैक चीजें करें। जो चीजें जो अप्रूवल जरूरत होते हैं, जो काफी सारे उनको अलग अलग चीजें जरूरत होता है, वो सारे में अगर तीव्रता आए, कहीं ना कहीं अगर तेजी आता है, तो मैं मानता हूँ कि ये हमारा जो स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम है ये और स्ट्रांग होगा।
And to wind up the discussion, let me add that the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, in a recent survey was considered as the best research institute in the whole world. That is also an icing on the cake.
जी, और अब बात करते हैं शेयर बाजार की प्रदर्शन पर। पिछले कारोबारी सत्रों में रिकॉर्ड ऊंचाई पर पहुंचने के बाद आज प्रमुख घरेलू शेयर सूचकांकों में हल्की गिरावट रही। वैश्विक शेयर बाजारों से मिले कमजोर वैश्विक संकेतों के बीच दोनों सूचकांकों में 0.5% से अधिक की गिरावट दर्ज हुई। बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स 0.51% के नुकसान से 271 अंक गिरकर 52,502 पर बंद हुआ। नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी भी 0.64% का नुकसान दर्ज करके 102 अंक फिसलकर 15,768 पर आ गया। व्यापक बाजार की बात करें तो यहां भी गिरावट का रुख रहा। बीएसई मिड कैप इंडेक्स 0.95% और स्मॉल कैप इंडेक्स 0.68% के नुकसान में रहे।
Yes, Jayanta, so what is your take on the fact that 50,000 plus, we've been hovering around 52,000 on Sensex. So, hello?
Yeah, I'm there.
There's a bit of disturbance. Yeah, now it's okay.
I can hear you. What's your question?
Yeah, I said around 52,000 plus. What is your take on the Sensex?
Well, typically, Lalima, I have said it last week also, and I'll just repeat. I think if the Sensex at this point of time maintains a level of between 49 to 52,000, we would be able to more or less have a sustained growth from here, because we are right now in an unlock phase, and there is obviously a strong, horizon in terms of increase of economic activity over the next 2 quarters. Of course, we also have to take into account 2 things. One is globally how things stand up in terms of COVID. Initial reports speak of UK having another strain of strain coming in terms of new cases of COVID, which they expect can trigger of a third wave. As we speak, South Africa is under an overwhelmingly bad situation in terms of a third wave which is happening there. I believe the Indian government as well as respective state governments are also foreseeing a third wave coming in around the period of October to December, which would be India's busiest season in terms of economic activity. So taking a cue from there, I believe the Sensex holding at these levels at this point of time, especially unlock coming in, would be good. There would be sectoral pushes from here on, specifically sectors which will be influenced upon by a good monsoon, specifically sectors where the demand will be coming back. As we have seen in the U.S. market, although, when we discuss U.S. markets, maybe I pointed out there, but if I make an early comment on the U.S. markets, there has been some dips in the retail sector in May in the U.S. market, but nevertheless, they have seen a robust comeback. So all these factors would impact upon the Sensex, and that's why, over almost last week to 10 days, we have not seen really a strong, intraday or even an intra-week movement in terms of where the Sensex was heading. Of course, we had some good peaks in the recent past, and I think, as I said, if we consolidate around 50,000 levels at this point of time, I would be pretty happy to go in for a nice long run with a comfortable break.
Yeah, to read the story, well, the Sensex and the Nifty today witnessed modest falls after a record-setting rally in previous sessions. Both stocks fell more than 0.5% amid weak cues from global equity markets. The Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange declined 271 points or 0.51% to close at 52,502. Nifty at the National Stock Exchange also slipped 102 points or 0.64% to settle at 15,768. While the broader market at BSE also fell, the mid-cap index plunged 0.95% and the small-cap index ended 0.68% down. In the Sensex pack, shares of 8 companies climbed while 22 fell. Nestle India was the top gainer as it surged 1.7%. NTPC climbed 1.6% and ONGC gained 1%. Bajaj Finserv and Hindustan Unilever both rose 0.8%. In the list of companies which fell, Power Grid plunged 2.2%, IndusInd Bank declined 1.9%, Reliance fell 1.7%, while Larsen & Toubro both ended 1.3% down. In sectoral indices, shares of 16 out of 19 sectors declined. Fast-moving consumer goods sector was the top gainer, which rose 0.5%. IT rose 0.3% and tech sector stocks closed 0.1% up. Among sectoral indices which fell, metal closed 2.6% down and shares of the industrial sector fell 1.6%. Energy and capital goods both slipped 1.4%. The overall breadth of the BSE trade was negative as shares of 1,441 companies gained while 1,790 fell. Shares of 124 companies remained unchanged.
और बात अब रुपए के प्रदर्शन की कर लेते हैं। अंतर बैंक विदेशी मुद्रा विनिमय बाजार में रुपया आज 1 पैसे की मामूली कमजोरी से $1 के मुकाबले 73 रुपए 33 पैसे का रहा। विश्व की 6 प्रमुख मुद्राओं की तुलना में डॉलर की मजबूती दर्शाने वाला डॉलर इंडेक्स अंतर्दिवसीय कारोबार में बिना किसी उतार चढ़ाव के 90.54 पर बना रहा। रुख करते हैं एशियाई बाजारों का। एशियाई बाजार आज नुकसान के साथ बंद हुए। अमरीकी केंद्रीय बैंक फेडरल रिजर्व के नीतिगत नतीजों से पहले निवेशकों ने सतर्कता बरती। चीन के खुदरा बिक्री और औद्योगिक उत्पादन के नतीजे उम्मीद से कम रहने से भी निवेशकों की धारणा पर असर पड़ा। ताजा आंकड़े चीन की आर्थिक वृद्धि में नरमी का संकेत दे रहे हैं। चीन का शंघाई कंपोजिट इंडेक्स और सिंगापुर का स्ट्रेट्स टाइम्स दोनों 1.1% टूट गए। हांगकांग के हैंगसेंग में 0.7% की गिरावट रही। जापान का निकेई 0.5% नीचे बंद हुआ। हालांकि दक्षिण कोरिया का कोस्पी 0.6% का लाभ दर्ज करने में कामयाब रहा। यूरोपीय बाजारों की बात करें तो यूरोपीय शेयर बाजार अंतर्दिवसीय कारोबार के दौरान सीमित दायरे में कारोबार करते दिखे। जर्मनी का डेक्स 0.1% की गिरावट में रहा, जबकि फ्रांस का कैक 0.1% ऊपर चल रहा था। लंदन का FTSE 100 बिना किसी उतार चढ़ाव के कारोबार कर रहा था।
Jayanta, right now the Sensex looks good, but what about inflation? The core inflation has crossed the 6% mark for the first time in 31 months and is estimated at 6.6%. How are we going to balance, or how is the RBI going to balance the fact that it has to support growth on the one hand and control inflation on the other?
Well, Lalima, there is, inflation would be a really concerning bad monster at this point of time.
Right.
And there is no doubt that wishing it away will not help us in solving the problem. We have to actually stand up and figure out how to go about it, because we know the state of oil prices in the domestic economy. And at this point of time, as the economy, unlocks, there would be a possibly rise of demand. And that would obviously, increase the inflationary spiral a bit more. What's important to understand, to see, is that with jobs lost, it should not come to a situation of a stagflation with high unemployment and high inflation together happening. So that's the critical call which RBI has to take. Although how much of a leverage it would have on the monetary side, specifically by tinkering the rate of interest at this point of time, is needed to be seen, because businesses have to come out from the mess they have been witnessing over the last 14 months or so. So it's an important critical call for RBI. And I also believe that to understand where the interest rates will be headed, we also have to understand in terms of how monsoons will be panning out. So that would also be an important factor to study in terms of how prices are heading. But I believe strongly that inflation is going to be the next monster to actually tackle, rein, and look forward to, apart from obviously the COVID fight which the nation is going through.
But also the inflation rate in the US has also climbed to a nearly 13-year high of 5%.
Well, the robust demand has come in, and that's the result of which, it's actually a demand-led inflation which has happened there, and not a supply-led inflation sort of a thing. But then, as I said, the Fed is also meeting, and today is the second day. On Wednesday evening, I think the meeting closes, and Fed will also be issuing some sort of a policy guideline for which the US markets are, waiting at this point of time. So we have to take a call. And as I said, with most economies unlocking, inflation, carryover inflation, because the other part which has happened is, Lalima, most governments, including India, have been spending a lot of money directly, either through a direct benefit transfer or through pumping more money, as in the case of India, through infrastructure and things like that. So that's another cause of, inflation coming in and triggering to a greater extent than what we expect or what we would have loved to.
तो क्या जयंता, हम ये मान के चलें कि निकट भविष्य में भी इन्फ्लेशन की जो दर है मुद्रास्फीति की, वो ऐसी ही ऊंचाई पर बनी रहेगी?
हाँ, बिल्कुल। मैं मानता हूँ कि इस वक्त अपवर्ड प्रेशर प्राइसेस के ऊपर काफी रहेगा और कुछ दिन तक बेशक रहेंगे, एटलीस्ट नेक्स्ट 1 से 2 क्वार्टर तक, और शायद ये और भी ज्यादा हो सकता है अगर विदेशी कच्चे तेलों की कीमत आज लालिमा ने हेडलाइंस में भी बताया, आपने भी बताया कि किस तरह से थोड़ा और $75, $74 के करीब हो चुके हैं जी। और ऐसी स्थिति में अगर डिमांड ग्रोथ विश्व भर में अगर होता है तो इसमें भी एक अलग से फर्क पड़ेगा इन्फ्लेशन के ऊपर।
जी जयंत,
बेशक कोई दो राय नहीं है।
कच्चे तेल से ज्यादा एडिबल ऑयल, खाद्य तेल सरकार के लिए ज्यादा चिंता का सबब बने हुए हैं इस समय।
देखिए, खाद्य तेल हम लोग का घरेलू बाजार में करीबन अगर आप लेके चले, करीबन पिछले 3 महीने के दौरान करीबन 30 से 40% के करीब उछाल हुए हैं जी रिटेल लेवल में। होलसेल में मेरे को नहीं पता उतना कितना फर्क हुआ है, लेकिन बास्केट ऑफ गुड्स के ऊपर निर्भर करते हुए ये जरूर है बात सच के 6% के करीब इन्फ्लेशन एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वुड बी समथिंग ऑफ अ बॉर्डर।
Well, one solace is that we know that the government shall be spending a lot of this money on feeding 80 crore people for the next few months till Diwali. Well, moving on to the U.S. markets, the 3 major U.S. stocks ended lower yesterday. Investors remained cautious, awaiting for the Fed's statement at the end of its 2-day policy meeting starting today. Assurance from the U.S. Central Bank, the Federal Reserve System, that rising prices are transitory boosted investor sentiment in previous sessions. Falling U.S. Treasury yields have also helped ease some concerns over inflation and supported U.S. stocks in recent weeks. The Nasdaq Composite Index declined 0.7%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 0.3%, and the S&P 500 closed 0.2% down. And now look at the oil prices. Well, we'll be talking about the rising global oil prices. Oil prices today continued their rally of gains. Brent crude prices climbed to trade beyond $74 a barrel to its highest since April 2019. A recovery in demand after some respite from the pandemic and a drop in U.S. crude inventories supported the oil prices. In intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $74.30 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were around $72.30 per barrel. Jayanta, a brief comment on the rising oil prices.
Hello, your question faded away, Nalima.
Yeah, I know there was some disturbance. I said a brief comment on the rising global oil prices.
As I said, with unlock happening world over, there would be an upward pressure in terms of where oil prices are headed from here. And as I said, the next 2 quarters will be important to see a direction. But I do believe that oil prices will have an upward pressure much more than to see a downfall from these levels.
जी, और अब बात कर लेते हैं येलो कमोडिटी की। मल्टी कमोडिटी एक्सचेंज पर आज सोना 30 रुपए महंगा हुआ। अगस्त माह के सौदों के लिए सोना 48,455 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम पर कारोबार कर रहा था। चांदी की कीमतों में भी 400 रुपए का उछाल आया और जुलाई अनुबंध के लिए चांदी 71,650 रुपए प्रति किलोग्राम पर रही। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजार में न्यूयॉर्क मर्केंटाइल एक्सचेंज पर सोने का भाव $1,857.10 प्रति औंस और चांदी $27.90 प्रति औंस पर रही। जनता आर्थिक गतिविधियों में सुधार के साथ साथ सोने की मांग अब बढ़ रही है। वाणिज्य मंत्रालय के अगर आंकड़े हम देखें तो वो तो यही बता रहे हैं कि करीब 46,000 करोड़ रुपए के सोने का आयात हुआ है इस अप्रैल महीने में। तो ये सोने की डिमांड बढ़ रही है, तो इसका मतलब कीमतें भी अब और हम ऊपर की तरफ जाकर देखेंगे।
मैं मानता हूं कि पिछले 6 महीने से मैं हमेशा इस प्रोग्राम में कहा कि गोल्ड का मूवमेंट एक अपवर्ड की तरफ रहेगा। हालांकि बीच में काफी गोल्ड का गिरावट हुए है, तो हम इस पीक करीबन 15% करीब गिरावट हुए है। लेकिन ये जरूर है कि एज ए इन्वेस्टमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी गोल्ड आई मेंटेन इन द मिडिल टर्म अगले 1-2 साल में अच्छा रिटर्न देंगे। तो कोई अगर हमारा रिटेल इन्वेस्टर निवेश करना चाहते हैं इस वक्त, तो ये अच्छा दर में एंटर कर सकता है।
जी,
right. And I think the fact that jewelry hallmarking in 256 districts will start from today will add another feather in our cap as far as gold is concerned. Well, before we close, friends, here's a reminder of the headlines. Thank you, Jayanta, for being with us and updating us with your views.
Thank you.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi invites investment in India, delivering keynote address at Viva Tech Conference. Says India offers what innovators and investors need. Domestic stocks take a breather, witnessing modest losses amid weak global cues. Sensex closes at 52,502. Nifty settles at 15,768. And Brent crude prices rise to trade above $74 per barrel mark.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने विश्व को भारत में निवेश के लिए आमंत्रित किया। विवा टेक सम्मेलन में मुख्य भाषण देते हुए कहा कि भारत में वो सब कुछ जिसकी स्टार्टअप और निवेशकों को जरूरत है। कमजोर वैश्विक संकेतों के बीच घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में हल्की गिरावट। सेंसेक्स 52,502 पर हुआ बंद, निफ्टी 15,768 पर और ब्रेंट कच्चे तेल के दाम $74 प्रति बैरल के पार।
And on that note, it's time for us, myself, Lalima, Neja Jang, and my co-anchor Vishal Sharma to bid adieu. Namaskar.
Market Master.